Alright, hello. I am going to be making a quick tutorial video on how to make weapon mods in Kingdom Hearts 2. So this is going to go over the whole process to make a weapon mod, including how to extract the model from the game, how to replace the model with a custom one, how to replace the UI images, do text edits, everything like that. As opposed to Kingdom Hearts 3, this process is vastly different because we do not have Unreal Engine 4. But you are still going to need Blender, as you can see I have here. So you can see I have my custom Keybladed. It's a Starlight Keyblade. Funnily enough, this is actually a model from Kingdom Hearts 3. In the Keyblade graveyard, you can see all of the little the Keyblades scattered around the Keyblade graveyard. This is actually one of the ones, the Starlight, that's in that world, minus the chain and the charm. I made that, or the chain is from Kingdom Hearts 2's Kingdom Key, and then the charm I made myself. As you can see, it is very low poly, it is very flat. That is because Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically has some pretty harsh limits in terms of what it can load as opposed to Kingdom Hearts 3. So basically, Kingdom Hearts 2, or for Kingdom Hearts 2, Keyblades specifically, your file cannot be more than roughly 115 kilobytes in file size. We'll go over that in a little bit longer. Strictly speaking, there is a tool called Moose, which removes that limit. However, for the sake of going over the process and just best practices for Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically, I am not going to be using Moose. You can research that in the Open KH Discord. However, like I said, for my purposes in this video, I will not be going over Moose. So just keep in mind that while we are doing this process, you are going to want to keep your Keyblade or your weapon that you are using very low poly and with a low resolution texture for the internal texture. We will go over that in a little bit. But first things first, what you're going to want to do is set up the OpenKH mod manager. This is so that you can install the mods. If you have already modded Kingdom Hearts 2, you probably already have this installed, or you have the old version of this, which is, I believe, called the patch manager. I would very much recommend getting rid of the patch manager and upgrading to the OpenKH mods manager. The patch manager is very old and no longer supported. The mods manager is much more up-to-date, much more user-friendly. It is just a better tool overall. I will not be going over how to install this in this video. I would recommend, if you want to set it up, go to, here, let me get a window up and I will show you. Go to KH2rando.com. And then follow the PC setup tutorial, first time setup tutorial. Just follow this guide. It will go over installing the OpenKH mod manager and the randomizer. If you don't want to play the randomizer, you can just uninstall this Garden of Assemblage ROM edition after you've completed the setup guide. However, this is personally my favorite setup guide for the OpenKH mod manager. Because it's nice, simple, not very long, as you can see. It seems like a lot of text, but a lot of this is pictures, so I would recommend following this guide personally. But basically, follow this guide, set up the OpenKH mod manager, and just do exactly what it tells you to do here, and you will be ready for the next step. So when you set up the OpenKH mod manager, you will download the OpenKH tool suite, which is this right here. It's a lot of files. A lot of this, if you're not making mods, you wouldn't use a ton of this. However, the mods manager is in this. As you can see, it's right there. But basically, there are some tools that we need to make custom mods in this tool suite. So I have made shortcuts for them, for the ones that we're going to need. The first one that we're going to need is going to be in your OpenKH folder. You're going to look for openkh.tools.kh2mdlxeditor.exe, specifically .exe. double click that, it will open. It'll look like mostly blank screen. Don't worry about that. But when you set up the mod manager, you will have to extract the data for the games that you are going to want to mod. Now, when you have that set up, for this purposes, you will most likely have extracted KH2. If you did not, run the setup wizard again and extract KH2. And you will go to your OpenKH folder, into data, and then into KH2. This is the game files for Kingdom Hearts 2 extracted. So what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to find the Keyblade that we are going to want to replace. So we're going to go into the object folder, OBJ, and then we're going to scroll all the way down till we get to the files that start with W for weapon. As you can see, any weapon that is WEX010 and then something after that is one of Sora's Keyblades. So for the purposes of this video, I am going to replace Star Seeker with Starlight. So to find out which is which, I am going to open a new tab. I am going to go to openkh.dev and then click Kingdom Hearts 2, and then go to objects down here, click that. And then once again, scroll down till you get to the weapons section, W. It's all in alphabetical order. Or you can do Control F, for example, and I'm going to search Star Seeker. Now you'll notice, when you do this, WEX01030, if you search more, you will notice there are other versions that have _TR, _WI, and an M. So these are the alternate world versions. So there are 4 copies of each Keyblade. For every Keyblade, there are 4 copies of it. One that is the normal one that shows up in most of the worlds. NM is for Nightmare Before Christmas, so Halloween Town. TR is for Tron, so Space Paranoids. And WI is for Willy, Steamboat Willie, which is brain farting on that world name. Technicolor, or not Technicolor River, Timeless River. I say Technicolor River because it's a really cool mod. But basically, those are the 4 different versions each Keyblade has. You can technically, excuse me. So you can technically replace each individual version with a completely different model if you wanted. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to replace all 4 with the same model, but just know that when you are doing this, you can do different models if you want. The process is the same. You're just going to want to extract a different model for that different world version. So basically, we're going to be replacing Star Seeker, so that is WEX010_30. So we're going to go back to the excuse me, the Data KH2 object folder, and we're going to find the one WEX01030.mdlx. That's the model. .a.us is the effect files. So like the hit effects, the swing trail effect, that kind of thing. We're not going to be changing that in this video, but that is possible to edit or like replace with a different Keyblades. But for the purposes of this video, we're just going to edit the MDLX file itself. So bring up your OpenKH KH2 MDLX editor. Get the MDLX that you want to extract, and then drag and drop it onto the MDLX editor. Give it a second, and as you can see, Star Seeker. So what we are going to do here, File, Export Model, FBX. Now go to wherever you want to put this model. I have a folder for all the base models. I think I've already extracted this technically, but yeah, I'm still going to extract it here. And replace it. And next you want to go into Blender, where you may or may not have your custom model already, but I have it in already. But then import your FBX. And go to, that's the wrong folder, hang on. We go to mods. There we go, base models, and then Starseeker. That's where I extracted it, and import. Now you notice it is kind of off to the side a little bit weird here. That's just because the way it's positioned is, like if I were to import Sora's model, it would be positioned in his hand here. So what we need to do is position this correctly here. So to note, Starseeker is one of those weird ones where it's hard to tell which way the teeth is, but the teeth point outwards. So this is the teeth. This is for all of the Keyblades, the teeth point outwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this so that it is facing the same right way. And then I'm going to move it roughly around the same place. You'll notice it's not exactly, so I'm just going to align it. So you can use this arrow tool, or if you know Blender shortcuts, G is to move, S is to scale, R is to rotate. But basically I'm just going to move this so it is aligned with this properly. Excuse me. So what you can do also is if you click up here, you go into wireframe mode. So you can kind of more easily see. I'm going to do G to move and then X to lock to the X-axis, so I can kind of align this as perfectly as I can. And mess with the scale, basically. Now GY to lock to the Y-axis. It'll take some trial and error, especially because it's not perfectly aligned in the like origin of the world. It's a little weird, a little hard to do, but you can get it's not too hard once you get used to Blender's controls. And again, you can just use these arrow keys, and that makes it a little bit easier if you're not super familiar with Blender. But as you can see, I've lined it up about as perfectly as I can, except the. No, that's fine. Let me see. Hang on just a second. So this is, I'm actually going to rescale it back to 1 because I want the chain to line up, because I personally have not ever had to resize the chain, or like readjust the positions of the chain. I believe it technically is possible, but I would advise against trying to do that. At least for the purposes of this tutorial, because I don't personally know how to do that. If you want to try and figure out how to do that, go to the Open KH Discord server. There are plenty of people that will be willing to help. But for the purposes of this, I'm just going to leave all of the little chain bones aligned with all of the chains. And we'll get to rigging those in a second. So first thing you want to do, I'm going to go back up here to the top right, viewport shading, just to get this solid look back. I'm going to click on my Starlight model. I'm going to press Tab to go into edit mode, press A to select everything, then Tab to go out again. Then we're going to click on the Starseeker model, the one we're replacing. Once again, Tab, edit mode, hold Alt, press A to deselect all, and then Tab again to go to object mode, and then select our custom model first, and then the original model second. Custom model, just select that, hold shift, and then click the original model. So you have both selected. The original model will have a light orange outline, while the custom model will have a darker orange outline. Hold Control, press J to join them together. Press Tab to go to edit mode. Hold Control, press I to invert selection. Then press X, F. That will delete the original model. Now you'll notice there's a little piece left from Starlight, or from Starseeker rather, the chain. This you can just click and then press delete, because you just want your custom model here. Some of the Keyblades are broken into separate pieces. I try personally to keep all of the pieces together as one piece, just for the sake of simplicity. Now, to make sure you have the right UV map, as you will see, if I go over here on this tab, Object Data Properties, and then under UV Maps, there's 3 UV maps, UV Single, Extra, UV S0. Those are the Starlight ones from Kingdom Hearts 3, and then UV Map is the one that is on the original mod. So you can see it's using UV map. If I go into UV editing, there's nothing here. And if I look at the Keyblade with this option selected on the top right, you notice it's all blue. So what I want to do is delete UV map, and then this extra one I don't need. Depending on the model, you probably won't have extra one. That's just from the fact that this model is from Kingdom Hearts 3, it has an extra one. And then, I actually, I need to fix it. So as you can see, the chain is correct, but this is not correct because I merged this from the original. So to fix this, I am going to do this option up at the top left here, which is UV sync selection. You'll see if I select these, the chain gets selected. If I select on the bottom left here, everything else gets selected because those have not been UV mapped, so they're just defaulted to the bottom left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do P by selection. I am then going to delete UV map and the extra one. Then I'm going to rename this to UV map, which is the same as this one. I'm going to delete these two on this one. And then I'm going to merge them back together. So now they're all correct. Hopefully you won't have to deal with this. I just did that little process just to help in case you do have this issue. But hopefully you don't have to deal with that issue. But basically you just want to have all the UV maps named the same, and then join them together, and they should be all good. So as you can see, it's our latest textured. All good. Next, what we're going to want to do is rig the bones. Now, if I go into tab, you'll see on the right here, there's bones 0002, 0003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 11. So, this is all of the names for the bones. They're not named the same like they're not named like properly like Kingdom Hearts 3's are. Like Wep is the main Keyblade, Chain 1 is the first chain, etc. They're just bone. That's just how it's handled in Kingdom Hearts 2. But what you need to know is Bone 2 is the Keyblade. Bone 3 is the first chain. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, all the way down to the end. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say, for example, actually, I did not, hang on, just to fix something. Basically, I'm going to select the charm, as well as this little piece, which is the connection for the charm. And I'm going to assign that to bone 11, because that is the charm. And I'm going to have bone 11 selected, and then click assign, and then select, deselect to make sure. Next is all of this one. Control L to make sure you have it all selected. And then go bone 10. To note while I'm doing this, I'm in edit mode. And then make sure that's assigned, deselect, select, deselect. Then just kind of move down the line going in reverse order. Control L, G, move it around, make sure I have everything selected. So, 11, 10, 9, assign, deselect. And again, just do the same thing for every individual chain bone. Excuse me. Just to make sure you have everything selected properly. Going backwards. Excuse me. Fine, deselect. Or fine, deselect. Select, deselect. Wait, that's not right. Hang on. Hang on, I did that wrong. So this one, I did something wrong. So what I can do, this one's supposed to be 5, not 4. So I can remove this one while it's selected, and then assign it to that. Then this one's 4. assign, deselect the charm, or the like this one. I don't know what this is called off the top of my head. All of this, that's 3. And then what I can do is then, rather than manually selecting the whole keyblade, what I can do is I can go and select every individual part here. And then do Control I to invert the selection so I have the keyblade, and then assign that to 2. So that's how you rig the keyblade. This is just so it animates properly, so the chain animates properly, etc. You need to do this, or else it could have a hell of a lot of issues. And if you don't have a chain on your weapon, all you need to do is assign the whole thing to bone 0002. But this is all rigged now, so now we're going to extract it. What you're going to want to do is click on the skeleton, which is these little funky shapes that are sticking out weird, or armature, as you can see. Go to this tab right here, the square with the little corner object properties. You'll notice it is rotated 90 degrees and it is scaled down to 0.1. We're just going to want to change the rotation to 0 and then change all scale values to 1. For whatever reason, when extracting it with the MDLX viewer and then you import it into the Blender, the scale and rotation is a little weird. However, when we export it, we want it to be 0 and then 1, 1, 1, 1. And as you can see, now it is ready. So just also before you export, click on the object itself, press Tab, press A, and then Control T. That triangulates it. Your model, just for the sake of the MDLX viewer, your model has to be made of triangles. 3D models are not always made of triangles. A lot of them are, but a lot of the time it'll either be triangles or squares. So doing Control T just makes all the squares triangles. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. So just for the sake of exporting it, it wants to be triangles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of the rest of the stuff I have in here. So I just have the armature, and underneath the armature, the mesh. Also, you'll notice I have 2 materials here. I don't want 2 materials. So before we export, I am going to delete the everything except the original material, which is going to be material 0000. As you can see, then we want to assign our texture to it, because it does need to have a texture assigned to it. So what we're going to do is make sure, go to wherever you have the texture for your model. For example, mine is new Starlight text, and then I'll go to Texture Paint just to make sure it's assigned correctly. As you can see, there it is. It is properly assigned. Alrighty, so excuse me. But just for the sake of working on this, we do need to have the texture assigned properly. So if you have the material, you should have this little base color node. If it's not, click this little yellow dot, find image texture, click that, and then this little piece should appear when you do the drop down. Then click the folder and select the texture. All right, so now we are basically ready to extract. All right, and then again, select the skeleton, do File, Export, FBX. So for the sake of this, I just named it KH2 Starlight. It doesn't matter what you name it, but go ahead and export. Actually, do under Armature, turn off Add Leaf Bones, and then export. Alrighty. So now that it is extracted, now we can replace the mesh with the MDLX feeder. Or we can almost replace the mesh with the MDLX feeder. So what you're going to want to do, first of all, is you're going to want to open your texture, because as I said before, the file size for the custom Keyblade needs to be less than 115 kilobytes. And that is including an internal texture, because the MDLX file has a texture inside of it, which might sound kind of weird, or maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't sound weird to you, but in 3D modeling terms, it's not quite the norm. For the most part, 3D models are actually the model itself, and then the texture is a separate thing that you assign to the model with a material. However, in this case, MDLX has the texture inside of it. So part of that is a lot of the file size comes from the texture. Now, I will note, for the sake of this tutorial, I am focusing specifically on the PC version of KH2. The PC version uses remastered higher resolution textures, which are separate from the MDLX. So what we can do for this is we can actually resize our texture and make it extremely tiny, like just 2 by 2. As you can see, that's freaking tiny, and there is like 0 detail in there. And you might wonder, like, well, how is it going to look when you get it in game? It's not going to look right. And that would be true if we were making it for the PS2 version. So if you are making it for the PS2 version, unfortunately, you need to be way more strict with the size of your texture, as well as the with the size of your texture, as well as the amount of polygons on your model. Now, to go over file sizing, I have found that typically the max amount of triangles, which if you're in Blender and you want to see how many triangles you have, click this little drop down here and click statistics. You'll see triangles here. Roughly the max amount of triangles that I've found that you can do within KH2 to fit within those file size limits is roughly 2,000 triangles. As you can see, this starlight is 1,256. So we're well within that range. However, again, most of the file size for the MDLX comes from the texture. So if the original Kingdom Hearts 2 models are only like a couple hundred triangles. So this custom model is way more higher poly already than the original Kingdom Hearts 2 ones, which is why, as I said before, we need to make this texture tiny in order to save as much file size as possible. So I'm going to save this as the same name. So this is the same name, the same texture that we assigned, same place in your computer, same file name as we assigned to the model in Blender. So if I go to Texture Paint and I reload the image, you'll notice it looks way wrong in Blender right now. That's fine. Again, we're going to be using remastered textures for the PC version. So what we're going to do now, while I am still in my Paint.net program, I'm going to undo that resize. So we have our original texture, and I'm going to save it as a separate file. In this case, I'm going to save it as HD. Starlight texture. And this is 1024 by 1024. I don't know if the remastered textures have a file size limit. I personally have not had any issues with this, but I only keep them roughly around 1024 by 1024, if not smaller. But for the sake of this, again, I'm just going to do 1024, 1024. All right. Now, while we have this tiny texture saved and the model extracted that's looking at this exact tiny texture, we are going to go back into the MDLX editor, which you should still have open. If you don't, just reopen it, put Starlight, or put the Keyblade you're replacing back in. Go to File, Import, Replace Mesh, do Select Model to load. These settings are changeable. I personally have never messed with them. I don't know exactly what they do, honestly, because I've never had to mess with them. If you want to figure out what they do, again, open KH Discord, lots of people willing to help. But I'm going to do Select Model to load. Then we are going to go to our model that we extracted. And I'm going to click on KH2 Starlight, open. It'll have this little thing here, a mesh, poly count, and texture. And we're going to click Import. as you can see, there's our custom mesh. Again, it does look wrong in here because it has the tiny texture on it. That's fine, once again. So now we have this. We're going to File, Save, or sorry, not Save. I did not mean to save that. That's actually, we're going to Save As. That's actually not good that I saved that. I should, I'll have to extract that probably. Whoops. That's fine. But don't worry about it. File Save As, excuse me. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to set up the mod as an open KH mod that can be installed simply by putting in a little text string into the OpenKH mod manager. If you've installed mods with the OpenKH mod manager, particularly the randomizer, you've done this before, or you've used these before. But basically, you need to have GitHub Desktop. So you need to set up a GitHub account, github.com, set up an account, and then download GitHub Desktop. I'm going to make create a new repository. We are going to then go and into my working folder for this. Just like that. And I'm going to name it Starlight-KH2. If you try to do a space, it won't work properly because, excuse me, goodness, GitHub doesn't like spaces. So I'm going to do Starlight-KH2, just do dashes, and then create repository. Now you notice in my working folder that I made a folder here. We're going to save this. We're going to go into this folder. We're going to make an OBJ folder, just like we had in the extracted Kingdom Hearts 2 data. Give it a second because it's acting weird. There we go. And we're going to go into the OBJ folder. You'll notice it saves it as the name and then out.mdlx. We're just going to save like that. We're going to remove the .out, so it's just mdlx. Then we're going to File, Save As again, because we want to save 4 copies of this, like I said. You'll notice 61 kilobytes, well within the file size limit. So if I wanted to, I could try to up the resolution of the tiny texture a bit. I'm not going to because I personally only make my mods to be specifically compatible with the PC version, not the PCSX2 version. However, you can do toying around. Again, the upper limit is about 115 kilobytes, roughly. But we're going to save 4 versions of this. WEX30, then add _NM for the Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween Town version. Once again, File, Save As. Then TR for the Tron or Space Paranoids version, and then once again, File, Save As. WI for the Steamboat Willie, aka Timeless River version. Now, as you can see, if I go into this folder, object, they're all there. They're all the same size because they're the same file. Now what we're going to want to do is save our texture into the remastered area. So in my OpenKH data KH2 folder, we're going to go into the remastered folder. We're going to go down into OBJ and then find the same name folder for the MDLX. So all the way down, WEX01030 .mdlx. And as you can see, there's the texture. It's named -0.dds. It has to be that name. It has to be a .dds. So I'll show you how to do that. Basically, File, Save As, your HD version of the texture. Go into your GitHub folder. Make a folder called Remastered. To note as well, if you don't want to make a GitHub account, I will go over later how to just make the mod a zip folder. Very similar. I just like doing GitHub so that anyone can download it by just entering a little string of text into the mod manager. But again, we're going to make a remastered folder, obj, and then again, just as before, same file structure as our extracted KH2 folder, WEXO1030, or whatever keyblade you're replacing. And then .mdlx as the folder. Then go in. Again, I'm using paint.net. You can use other image editing programs, but I'm going over how to use paint.net. There are certain settings you need to do. So, as you can see, I'm saving it as -0.dds. In settings, do this one, P8, G8, R8, A8, linear. A8, R8, G8, B8. This setting specifically right here. There's a lot, but it's the first one of this kind of section here, linear. And then you don't need to change anything else, and then click OK. Those specific settings is just so the colors are right in KH2. Excuse me. And then once again, excuse me. Now, that's for the normal default one. Now, what we can do if we want is make some edits for the world versions. Because, as you may know, in Halloween Town or in Halloween Town, or for example, or Space Paranoids or Timeless River, the Keyblades look a little different. So, for the sake of, say, Halloween Town, what it does a lot of the time is but for most of them, is it kind of messes with the hue and saturation, so it'll make it a little bit darker. Oh, I have a specific area selected. So adjustments, hue, saturation. Again, you can do whatever you want here, but I'm just going to do kind of what I do in general. For example, it makes it a little bit darker, maybe a little bit less saturated, or maybe a little bit more saturated, however you want. A little bit darker, a little bit less saturated for Halloween Town. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to File, Save As. And then we're going to go up one so that we make the Halloween Town folder. WEX01030_nm.mdlx. Again, nm being Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween Town. And again, -0.dds. In paint.net, when you have this setting selected, you never need to change it again. Unless you change it to something else, but yeah. Now I'm going to Control-Z to undo this. Now, for Tron, for example, typically the saturation is also, we'll do hue saturate. Typically, it's also a little desaturated, but it's lighter by a good margin. And also sometimes it has lighter blue lines, and it has some glowing. That's not something I personally have ever done with mine. You can if you want. Or I have added blue lines, but I've never done like the glowing because I don't personally know how to do it. I think it involves vertex colors, which I don't have a lot of experience with. But again, if you want to learn how to do that, OpenKH Discord server. But for example, just for the sake of example, I am just going to make it a little bit lighter. Maybe I'll go in and edit this mod later on to add some blue lines and stuff. But just for the sake of this tutorial, just going to mess with the hue and saturation again. And then once again, go up one and make the TR Tron folder. Doing an _tr.mdlx. Okay, and then again, Control-Z to undo. Now, next is Steamboat Willie. Now, simplest way to do this is just adjustments, black and white, makes it grayscale. Now, what I like to do personally is I actually just leave it default for Steamboat Willie, because that world actually has a black and white filter applied on top of it, regardless of what the textures are. So you don't actually need to make your texture black and white, despite a lot of the base game ones doing that anyway. Personally, I just leave it the same, so that, for example, with the mod called Technicolor River, which I believe I have installed somewhere around here, Technicolor River by Danimal. This makes the Timeless River world in color, and so for this, it removes the black and white filter and makes every texture color. So for my sake, what I like to do is just to make the my mod compatible with Technicolor River, I just leave it default. So I'm just going to do that. Again, you can make it black and white if you want, but again, the world already puts a black and white filter, so you don't really need to. But new folder, WEX010 30 WI.mdlx for Steamboat Willie. And then again, -0 DDS. All right, now let's say, for example, you want to replace the hit stars. For the sake, again, for the PS2 version, which, or for not the PS2, for the PC version, which is what I'm focusing on in this video, all you would need to do is change the remastered texture because the PC version just uses that texture. It is possible to edit on the PCX2 or PS2 version. Again, not going to go over that in this video because I prefer the PC version. I think it is just better overall. But as you can see, there is the .a.us folder, and for all of the worlds. That, again, that is the hit stars in the swing trail. So, for example, if I go in here, you'll see here's these folders. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open these with paint.net, and I can make these whatever I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this a little bit. You can resize this. I wouldn't go too high just for the sake of keeping this file a little small, but I'm going to double the size, maintain aspect ratio. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get since I'm replacing this with Starlight, I'm going to find a image of a Lux. If I am able to find one, you should be able to find this somewhere, right? I am sure. KH2 Lux. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a new layer, I'm going to paste it, keep canvas size, and then resize it so that, again, it's just a little piece of Lux in this slot. Try to keep it relatively around the same size. There may be a little bit of leeway, but you don't want anything to get cut off, so I would try to keep it about the same resolution if you can. As you can see, it's a little pixelated, but again, that's just a hit star. It's fine. And then under the background, I'm going to then delete this moon. I'm not going to delete this little thing because that's like the glow of it, and I just want to leave that the same. And then I'm going to merge my layers, not duplicate, merge my layers, file, save as, and then again, go into my working folder, and then under remastered, object, and then I'm going to make the, again, same folder as this, .a.us. WEX010 30.a.eus. Now, as with the Keyblades textures themselves, if you wanted to, you can make this entirely different for every world. I personally am not going to in this case. I am just going to copy it to the other folders, just because I prefer that for the hit stars. I don't think it really need to change, but again, you can if you want. It's your personal preference. So I'm just going to copy these. I'm going to delete the copy word, and then I'm going to add the NM. And then again, I'm going to copy, paste. TR. And paste. WI. All right, and now, again, say I want to change the swing trail as it is here. We're going to open with paint.net. And what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to extract the one from Kingdom Hearts 3. And you can do whatever you want here. You can leave it default. You can just not change it, and it'll just use the base game one. It's entirely up to you. Just for the sake of this tutorial, this is what I'm going to do. And then it's going to be under Effects, Web, 150, if I'm not mistaken. Texture. I think it uses the Kingdom keys. So what we'll do is we'll this text lock. That's the one. Export that from Kingdom Hearts 3, and then we'll just go and export game effects web SOO10 text. Open with paint.net. Oh, excuse me. And just Control A, Control C, Control V. It's bigger resolution, so I'm going to lower it, even though I don't technically need to. I could use the higher resolution if I wanted, but for the sake of the swing trail, it doesn't really matter. And then we'll file save as -1.dds this time, as that's the one in the base game. And then, once again, working folder, remastered, obj, a.us, and then save. And we'll do that in every folder. Again, you can change this to different colors if you wanted for every world. I'm not going to bother because I don't feel like I need to, but it's entirely up to you. All right, so that's that. So that's basically it for replacing the model and the effects. However, there is another thing we do need to do, which is changing the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another mod that I've replaced, or that I have done, that already replaced this specific Keyblade, which was, I believe, this one, if I am not mistaken. Let me just double check. Yes, it is. So I'm going to copy my mod.yml and sys.yml from this. I'm going to include both of these in a zip file in the description. These are just bases that you can use for these full files that you need. Then we're going to go right back to Starlight. And then we're going to paste these in my GitHub working folder that has the git attributes and .git. Then for text editing, we're going to edit with Notepad++. You can also just edit with a normal Notepad if you want. I like Notepad++ because it's just nicer, in my opinion, for this kind of text editing. Alrighty, give it just a second to load up. Right, as you can see, I already have these. So what you're going to need to do is find the ID of the name and the ID of the description. So these are just the kind of text IDs that you're going to want to find. Once again, in the Open KH toolset, I have a shortcut for it, but you're going to want to find openkh.tools.kh2texteditor.exe. Open that. You'll get this little window. You're going to want to file, open message. You're going to want to go into where you have your Kingdom Hearts 2 extracted in your OpenKH folder. So okay, OpenKH, data, KH2. You're going to want to find MSG. US is English, US. SP is Spanish, Italian, German, and French. And then you're going to want to find sys.bar, sys.bar. This is the system text. And then right here, you're going to search for your Keyblade's name. So in this case, Star Seeker. And then you'll see it's 3DFA. I already have that in here, but it's going to be 0x and then whatever this ID is. And then to find the description, it's going to be the one exactly after that. So what you can do is instead of searching for Star Seeker, now you can search for 3DF, and you'll see immediately after is the normal description for Star Seeker. So it's 3DFA, 3DFB. Hidden Dragon is 3DFC, 3DFD, etc. But for this sake, 3DFA, 3DFB. If you want to look for Kingdom Key, for example, Kingdom Key, it's 05C2. So 05C, Kingdom Key, keychain attached to Keyblade has damage. Yeah, see, exactly. But again, for the sake of this one, we're doing Star Seeker, so 3DF. You don't need to do anything else in the text editor. Just find these two. Replace after the 0x in each one with the correct ID, and then the name. So in this case, it's going to be Starlight. And then the description. You'll notice this is laid out a little bit differently. It's got this greater than symbol, then a dash, and then there's a gap between the lines. So this is to have like a specific, like a line break is basically this is the first time, this is the first line, this is the second line. So what I'm going to do for this sake, I'm just going to replace it with Kingdom Hearts 3's description. So Kingdom Hearts Keyblades, we'll go into KH Wiki. KH3, we'll find Starlight. It is a Keyblade that survives from antiquity. A Keyblade that survives from antiquity. So for this sake, I only need one line. But if you need to make more than one line, you can do up to 3 with this. You just want to, from here, do enter twice. Make sure the amount of spaces from the edge is different. So in this case, I think it's 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And then put the second line of text here. And if you need a third line of text, it's going to be here. Third line, second line. So again, just for example, this is how it needs to be laid out if you need to do multiple lines of the description. But for this sake, I don't need to. So I'm just going to save it like this. Again, just make sure your IDs are correct, and then name and description, whatever you want. I'm going to close the text editor because I no longer need that. And now we're going to set up the mod.yml. So this is a very, very important part of making an open KH compatible mod, is the mod.yml. You'll notice it's a lot of shit and it looks kind of complicated. It's really not. Again, I'm going to include this specific mod.yml. Actually, after I've edited it, I'm going to include this in the zip file in the description. So you can just use this as a template. And then just edit it however you need to, which is most likely just going to be changing the ID of the Keyblade as well as the mod title and the description. So, for example, this is going to be Starlight KH2. And then I'm going to change the description to replace a Star Seeker with Starlight from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. So what a mod.yml is, it basically tells the mod manager what the name of the mod is, who made the mod, the description of the mod, as well as what assets are being replaced with this mod, and where specifically the assets you are replacing are, and where the mods are in relation to the mod.yml. So the reason I had you save the MDLXs in object and the remastered textures in remastered object, etc., is so you have the same layout. So it's super similar, or so it's super simple to do this. What the assets is for a mod.yml is is, hey, this is the asset that we want to replace. So in this case, Star Seeker's MDLX. We're going to copy our MDLX and replace the original one. And then the source is our custom MDLX. You'll notice the file paths are the same because I had them laid out the same, which makes it super easy. So it's basically just, hey, get this object get this file in Kingdom Hearts 2's files and put it and replace it with this object from our custom files. And it does that for all of the MDLXs and all of the textures. And then this one at the bottom is editing the sys.bar. It's a binarc, which means we're just going to edit a specific point in this file so we don't have to replace the entire file and potentially conflict with other mods that edit this file. And then a source is the sys.yml. List, KH2 message. This, just leave this here. Don't edit it at all. If you want to do a different language, you just copy this, paste it, and then just change language from EN, or change US to the other languages file, and then EN to the, and then EN to the other language abbreviation, which is SPITGR, etc., or FR for French. But again, for this sake, I am only editing English US. So just leave that there. Don't worry about it otherwise. Okay. And then, so basically, again, if you are replacing a different Keyblade, all you need to do is edit the item key, which for the most part, and so if it's Kingdom Key, you just remove the _30 from all of these. If it's a different one, we'll bring this back up. You just change it to 40 or 50 or J0, whichever Keyblade you're replacing. Super simple. This is set up so that it replaces every MDLX, the textures for every MDLX, as well as the star and hit or swing trail for everyone. It's already set up for all of that. We're going to go over stat and ability changes as well. Or maybe I'll make that a separate video. I don't know. We'll figure it out by the time I finish this. Maybe I'll make a separate tutorial for that. But for the sake of this, our mod's set up already. We're good. So what we can do now, if we go over here, you'll see we have the mod.yml, sys.yml, remastered object. What I actually want to do is we also want to give this mod an icon. If you'll notice, most of these mods have a little icon with them in the mod manager, just so you can have a little nice, fun little icon to differentiate the mod in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it Starlight's keychain. You can make it whatever you want. I'm going to go get the file from Kingdom Hearts 3. It is this one right here. For the sake of this, I'm just going to copy this. Actually, I'll open with paint.net. It's 104 by 104, so I'm just going to... what the mod manager recommends is 128 by 128, but it can be basically whatever size, I think, as long as it's a square. Heck, it might not even technically need to be a square. It's just recommended to be a square, and it's recommended to be 128 by 128, but I have done higher resolution before. And then you're just going to name it icon.png in your working GitHub folder. And if I go back here, now we have an icon.png. And there we go. Now we go back to GitHub desktop. In your custom repository, you'll notice you'll have all of these files. You need to put a summary if you add more than one file. So I'm just going to do initial commit, and then commit 19 files to main, excuse me. And then since I'm done and I want to install it, I'm going to publish repository. I'm going to turn off keep this code private because it has to be not private in order for OpenKH Mod Manager to access it. And then click publish repository. Give it a second to do its thing while it publishes the repository, and then you're done. Now, what you can do, open OpenKH Mod Manager, press the plus, and then what your string is for this is it's going to be your GitHub username. So in my case, it is Dallin1016, then a slash, and then the repository name, which is this right here, Starlight-KH2 in my case. Starlight-KH2, and then I'm going to install. As you can see, there's the icon. It's Starlight KH2, replaces Starseeker with Starlight from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. We're going to turn it on, and then we're going to mod loader, build and run. Now, I have a lot of mods installed, so this is going to take a second, but... but also, now that you have uploaded that to GitHub desktop, all you got to do is send the... If you want someone else to have the mod, all you got to do is send them the little... just for the sake of showing you, all you got to do is send them... Say, hey, put this little string in OpenKH Mod Manager. Just, just put this in OpenKH Mod Manager and then click install. And then that's how they get it. That's what's super nice about uploading it to GitHub. While this is building, if you don't want to upload it to GitHub for whatever reason, which is totally fine, what you do is you select your OBJ folder, your remastered folder, your icon.png, mod.yml, and sys.yml, and then you do send to compressed zip folder, and then just name that whatever, Starlight KH2 for example. And then in OpenKH Mod Manager, you just add that as a select and install mod archive or Lua script. Just select that zip file, and it's the exact same. I very much prefer putting them on GitHub, so it's very easy for other people to get them. But if you don't want to do that, you can just make it a zip folder. Super easy. All right, and I'm probably going to cut here just so we don't have to wait for everything to install, and we'll be right back. All right, so we are back. Excuse the music, I have a randomizer seed in. But we're going to load a game. Hopefully I have Starseeker in this save file. If not, I'll have to find one, which is fine. Again, ignore all the mods. I have a lot of mods installed, but... see, I do have it. So as you can see, oh, I forgot. So I forgot to replace the menu icon. So we'll get to that in a second because I just totally forgot about that. But you can see here it is in game. Super cool. The texture's a little dark here, so I could up it if I wanted. I might do that before I release this publicly. But yeah, now if I go into Space Paranoids, ignore the story not happening like it should. You can see it's a little bit different here. We'll go out, and then we'll go to Halloween Town. Again, story just happening. That's fine. You can see a little bit darker here. And then we'll go to Timeless River. As you can see, I have the Technicolor River installed, but because I left the texture defaults, here we are. It's still colorier. Again, because the game just applies a black and white filter if you don't have this mod installed or another mod that removes the black and white filter, so you can just leave it default, so it's compatible with this mod. But, as I said, I forgot to replace this icon. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to close the game. Then we are going to, and to be clear, again, this mod.yml already has this set to be replaced. This is just me forgetting. So it's item pick 046. To find which one, you're going to want to use openkh.tools.imageviewer.exe from the OpenKH Tools Suite. Go to File, Open. Actually, no, you don't need to. You can just go to where you have OpenKH installed. Where you have KH2 extracted, and then go into remastered item pick, and then do item 043 is Kingdom Key. And then everything after that is more Keyblades. So in this case, I found that it was 046. You just kind of have to search through here to find which is which, because I don't believe that there is a library that shows which is which. But for this case, it is 046. So what I'm going to do again is I am going to just get Starlights from KH3, because I might as well. We're going to open with paint.net. 512 by 512 is perfectly fine size, so what we're going to do, whoopsie, we're going to File, Save As. Once again, make sure it saves as a DDS, because it does need to be a DDS to be in the remastered folder. Then we're going to go into Remastered. Instead of Object, it's going to be Item Pick. And then once again, whatever folder you found your Keyblades in this case, item 046. .imd. Item 046.imd. And then it's going to need to be -0.dds. Now I saved that, and now if I bring up GitHub Desktop, since I saved it in that folder, you'll notice it noticed, hey, this file is new. So I'm going to commit to main, and then I'm going to push origin. That's as easy as it is to update your mod. You just commit your new files and then push to origin. And then in the OpenKH mod manager, go to settings, check mods for updates. You'll notice now it says update available. Your mod is 1 update behind. Download update. And as you can see, it is now updated. Now we do, once again, mod loader, build and run. Alrighty, we're back in game again. Let's just wait for it to load up. I'm going to load that same save file. And now I can go into and get Starlight, and you'll see now the icon is correct. And once again, bing, bing, bing. There it is, custom Keyblade. Yeah, I definitely might up the brightness on this because it doesn't look super great. That's fine though. But yeah, that is as simple as it is to add custom Keyblades into KH2. I think I will do a separate video for changing these stats and abilities. Just know it is possible. It's pretty simple. But yeah, that's it. It's a lot more intimidating than it seems, and it is a little bit limiting in, again, the file size type, because if you don't go within those file types, your Keyblade can very, very easily crash the game when you equip or unequip it. So just keep that in mind when you are making the mods. 115 kilobytes for your .mdlx. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Let me know if you have any questions. Just go to the OpenKH Discord server. Plenty of people that are willing to help. I can help sometimes, but I would more so recommend, rather than messaging me personally, please just go into the OpenKH Discord. I am not always available to help, but there are plenty of people in the OpenKH Discord that are able and willing to help, and you will likely get a quicker and overall better answer from people who are more experienced with modding KH2 than I am. But yeah, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. And see you next time for when I upload a Kingdom Hearts 1 tutorial.